Like both of those things definitely seem like I feel like it has a lot of synergies with the tent overall. I don't know if I would define that necessarily, and I'm not saying that it isn't, but I don't know. If I play the weapon, I would definitely be very excited. That I'm with you on. Oh shoot. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I thought the person on left stack would have been shooting at that person. I'm unable to pop that. The 52 fall off. What the heck? The weapon's crazy. I need to just start moving forward. Wait, what? I think it just ran away. I've never seen a siege like be near action, but be unable to actually do anything with it. It's fascinating. But respects. Oh, this is dangerous. You know, there was one more person left. Yes. We're gonna need to have someone hold like great stock. I can get bombs on their attic area. This is a... That's my bone. The trust factor with my teammates currently is at an all-time low. Means I just need to like paint animal. I want to keep the game plan very simple. Hey. Okay. Shot. I need to like break out of this whole scenario. Okay. See siege over there. I know I'm here, but do they know I'm here? Joe, what are we doing, my friend? Holy. Oopsie. I don't know if the siege understands that we're currently losing the game and we need to look to take pressure forward. I'm not allowed to just defend if we're currently losing. Oh shoot. I'm gonna pick that up. This whole left side is painted. I'm so scared. Shadow Hammer! I was gonna dodge the third shot, but ugh, yeah, it was hard to push with the rest of the team there. Kid's pretty good. Mine's the best sub besides Beacon. Zuka's could be better, but I think better than back, yeah. I mean, it's definitely gonna be a nice upgrade from what we're working with now when it comes to Tent, but it will be interesting to see how that goes over the course of the next release and so on. It definitely seems like a scary kit. I don't want to play against that in my games, I can tell you that much. I just want Stringers to get AK. I think Stringer's kit's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It has only like niche uses currently, but I think it's okay. It does deserve another kit though. Alright, we're playing with some actual teammates and not just bozos. Although we're gonna have to deal with so many inkjets. I will be the bozo by the end of all of this. What the machine wants to push this left side. Oh. I forgot that there's like this first layout for this map. I need to be moving forward. I'll just pick it up. Shoot more at the Rainmaker. We're gonna ignore that. I'm looking for special. The whole team went down. This is dangerous. I almost sit here. That was my bad. I'm probably dead. This is dangerous. This is painful. Ugh. Austin's BP. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the point of that, other than maybe painting. Or comboing multiple. I guess I want me picking up Rainmaker, which honestly is kind of fair. I couldn't get the other roll. I got shot like one time and it slowed down my momentum. Yo, what's up, Soda? How games gone? I've only played 2 of them, but they've gone about how you would expect playing with random people in solo queue would be. Not necessarily my favorite pastime. They're just gonna KO here because our teammate's sitting. Our teammate went for quite a flank there. Yeah, I might have to just switch back to V-Splash. It feels really rough trying to keep up as a Splash Neo. Some modes I vibe with it, but I feel like, especially on this kind of map, or both of these maps, I think just being able to stabilize with Crab is probably gonna, on average, just be better. Yeah. I do want more reps on Splash Neo, but let's be real, we're not gonna learn a lot when it comes to playing Rainmaker and solo queue. Next time there's like a zones rotation or something, then we'll switch back to Splash Neo, but when it comes to wanting to win the game, I don't know. I'd rather use zones as an opportunity for me to work on my actual splash play. Just because these maps in particular are pretty tough to work with. Yeah, what's up, Tough? It's mini replay on highest rank to achieve. No, it doesn't really matter. It just gives like a perspective, you know. The reason why I have it as a differentiator is that sometimes people will submit like it's just it kind of helps just provide a perspective, because the current way that matchmaking isn't always the most effective way of telling some stuff. And if someone's like a I don't know, like a 3K player, and they're playing in like a open series or something, an open series, it just provides like a different perspective on things. And I'd much rather just be able to provide productive commentary on the actual matches. Which, as you play through the game, sometimes you will get like a, you know, oh, this is like a skill diff kind of scenario, but it just helps. Like, it doesn't need to be, oh shit. It doesn't need to be perfect by any means. It helps better put a finger on where people are, like, rank-wise. Because there's just such a... No. Like, ranks never mean too much, but ranks mean even less in the current modes of stuff. So it doesn't really matter if it's like TC or whatever, and, you know, depending on whatever region you are, and depending on, like, there's... At the end of the day, it's a very flawed system just altogether, but... anything that will help me provide better feedback sometimes can assist with that, and... especially with, like, ranks resetting every month, just saying you're, like... Plus 0 can mean a lot of different things. And I know that some people don't like playing X rank, or they'll submit stuff that isn't specifically in X rank. So again, just having that perspective really just gives a little bit more insight into what's going on. Did we kill the person? Okay, that's unfortunate. think they dropped all together, but nice. I feel like we're playing double backline with our current comp. This also feels extra bad because I'm one of the frontliners, for lack of a better term. Okay. Yeah, let's just say this game is not going well. Okay. Oopsie. No. Oh, I should not have done that. I should have taken it slower. Oh, we just lost my bed. It's on me. That one's definitely on me. To do the yard? Oh, holy. I feel like it's way too late to be doing yard work. It is the summer, but sounds painful. Speaking of painful, that whole match was painful. Yeah, it's tough to... I don't know. I like a weapon like Orange Zap, but it's very polarizing in the way it plays. And sometimes it's frustrating when people play it like a backliner when we already have a Hydra, which is another kind of backliner. It's really hard to move forward against their kind of comp. And so I have to go in and start like feeding, which isn't always the most fun. We'll play one more. That was a yucky way to end it. Yo, GG's, Ty. I fed my face off that game. I could have played it way better. I just hate when I have to frontline. Like, you did great, but... But overall... trying to work together as a team. Which I didn't do my part, but... we had an opportunity at the very end, and I just... fed it prematurely. So I was like behind them. If I would have just stalled, we would have been chilling, but... I didn't, like, I thought that the Rainmaker was gonna be farther forward. Like, I thought we'd already crossed, but... I was, like, going for fights and chasing people when we were still, like, getting it over the jump. I need to work on my awareness quite a bit. Truth be told. Alright, let's redeem ourselves, Orange Zap. I believe in you, my friend. You can kind of play backline now, so... all is fine in the world, but... yeah, I don't think we're gonna get this one, my friends. We get a pick, though. Sure, teammate didn't commit. Ooh. What is my aim? Oh. Nice shot. I still one on right side. I'm gonna dead this wall, aren't I? No, fortunately not. Ooh, nice shots. Credit where's credits due. People are hitting the half fall-off shots. Nothing but respect from me. No, I missed my shot. My frames. Okay, get in there. That's the one thing with the new map, like, I'm usually pretty optimistic about all the new maps and stuff, and I think the newest map looks fine. I'm really scared that the frame rate on that thing is going to be awful. It's going to be like Mahi turned up to 20. Gamers. I'll just jump. Over there. Wait, what is happening? Hello? Oh my goodness. Honestly, I just need to stall this ramp. I couldn't get into ball 4 in one time. That was a nice play with H3. Don't know where the last person went. I could just, are they not still in mid? Oh, there they are. What are you doing? Yeah, if we can stall them. Crying. I'm crying, I'm crying, I'm crying. I gotta carry this game right there. As my bad. These people are sharking in such like weird ways. I got beat. Oh no. What is happening? Is that person like up? This game has to be laggy for people, but what is happening? They're still there. I thought they DC'd. This person still exists. What's the whole lobby like this? I've never seen a rattier lobby in my life of people just sharking any and every opportunity. Partially I respect it, but our bro was sitting in mid, covered in a sea of enemy paint for the longest time. I pushed them back. I gotta move forward when we start doing that. Nice. Oh, they're gonna get Zuka'd. You can't. Oh no. Yeah, they had to play it more patient. That's on me. I shouldn't be getting picked in those spots. I feel really awkward when I have to frontline. I have trust issues, which part of that is a coordination issue on my part. Like there's clear times where my timings aren't good, but I kind of expect us to move faster just a little bit. But I also had about 3 fights where I was clearly out of range and I was just standing in place and shooting. Made mistakes too. Now you're good. Perma in our base. Yeah, that's how I felt throughout that entire game. It was unfortunate. I'm not the melon splash to make it work out, but either way, heck of a performance from both teams. All right. Holy defeat. All right, let's get into it. I don't know the first one that we have. Dynamo roller. What the? Okay. Seth, if you're still here, your input is always welcome. Wait, no, I'm in a match. Whoa. Hopefully I don't get a loss for that. Hold up. Oh yeah, I tried playing that Omega Strikers game. It seems really cool, but it's also very complicated. I feel like I have to commit myself to it. I don't know if anyone else plays it. I know there's a lot of Splatoon players that do play, but I don't know. That is neither here nor there. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly how the structure of all this is gonna go. I think our team scrims in about an hour and a half. So we might be able to get through 2 reviews. That's the hope. That is the hope, the goal, the dream. That's what we're aiming for. Oh yeah, did I get a loss? Probably not. I think I got it in time. Yeah, we're good. We're chilling. Alright, it sounds like it's flooding outside right now. Hopefully the wind and the rain aren't coming through. Well, I thought the rain's actually kind of pleasant. Like one of those lo-fi videos. Hammerhead, Dynamo, Ninja Squid Dynamo, Rainmaker. Okay. There's some ledges for us to be camping. I'm excited to see what we're working with here. That's not the right button. You'd think after all the times that I've gone through and downloaded replays that I wouldn't have to think about getting those things set up. All right, speaking of getting set up, let me get the very official, very awesome overlays. Oh yeah, real quick. So we said Ninja Squid on the Dynamo, LDE, and swim speed. Very interesting. Okay. Let me get the thing back. So, series. I think we said we're like S+12. Okay, we're grinding. And this is Monty. So I don't know if it's Montilla or Montilla. Hey, what's up, bud? I appreciate you putting the yell in yellow. The yell and the ow. You put the ow and the yell in yellow. Appreciate you. Also, we scrim in an hour and a half, right? I think that's what I saw. So anyways, let's get right into it. So generally looking at comps real quick. Hold on, let me need to readjust. When I actually start writing on stuff, I use this other screen. Do I have like 7 water bottles in front of my monitor? Dogs are causing chaos. 7 p.m. I gotcha. Yeah, but so our comp, we have double. I wouldn't even say Dynamo's backline. Dynamo's such an interesting weapon because you have to play it slow, but like once you once you have space to maneuver, it's almost like a dive weapon, truthfully. You kind of sit under ledges and you're ready to be you're ready to take first contact. And when we look at having a Splash Neo and a brush, like, we might have to... happens. So yeah, we're from the title of the review, it was very much like aggro gameplay, so hopefully that's what we see. Against their team, like the Splash Neo and the Dapples, from what I know, Dynamo, they should be able to chew them up pretty easily, as long as you don't get like ran on. Dapples, we have to be careful about their positioning and make sure that they don't get underneath us, but you know, these mid-range weapons are going to be kind of scary, especially with walls and especially with the outrageous range of a Stamper. But all in all, I think our comp's okay. We just want to make sure we're matching the aggression of our teammates and pushing in with like these types of tri-strikes. Dapples, for those that don't know, is really good at getting pop on Rainmaker. Stamper's also quite decent at it. So I would probably look to give pop at the beginning based off of comps. And then again, as our role with Dynamo, we're gonna have to play it a little bit slow. We can't be too much out in the open at the as plays start developing. But you know, if we have tri-strikes, if we have cooler, if there's opportunities for us to go in and feed, that we definitely want to embrace the ability to feed. On Rainmaker, this ledge over here isn't the greatest. It's not as good as it is in other modes, but there might be some options there. We'll probably get a lot of value, like potentially getting shots up here on snipe. But this initial ledge isn't all that great. We get decent fights in mid potentially. And then as we start moving up, when we take control of their snipe, then when they have to start dropping down, if we play patient moving after first checkpoint, we can definitely get some really big pushes going. So again, when it comes to like the overall big play potential of a Dynamo, I can see some opportunities in mid. I can see also opportunities when we're on defense and like getting shots over in this kind of area, or potentially getting shots sometimes in this area. You know, there's a lot of edges, or ledges I should say, that we can drop down on and get a lot of value out of with Dynamo. But you know, we have to choose our aggression wisely, basically. But that is what I'm looking for. Yeah, we're giving up pop, so we gotta chill. I can respect going for the side angle, and I like that our teammate painted for us. Okay, 3 down. This is where we should be able to move forward. Okay. Yeah, I think we could be a little bit faster here, potentially. Oh no, this jump is, it can be tough, especially when you're trying to dodge stuff. So I don't blame you. Nice. Okay, so real quick, I'm just gonna like go back a little bit to opening and stuff and just give little bits of comments, but I do like this opening. I like that we're trying to push in the mid as much as we can, because when if we're able to close the gap on the midline weapons, and if we know where the shorter range weapons are, we can definitely find a lot of value. So I really like us using these sides because we know that we're not going to get pop realistically. So it's much better to be trying to take aggressive, because even if they get pop, you can still get like very aggressive, you know. We drop down and we even make it over here, and that's how we get like those initial picks and everything. So that's a really, really good decision. I again, going back to the aggression, I love that. Love that for us. Get a good pick. When the rest of their team goes down though, when they're 3 down, we know where the squeezer is. We know that they're up here. I would love for us to take space. Like Rainmaker's happening somewhere in mid, and like one of our teammates is like, we can trust that one of our teammates is going to pick it up and start pushing it. I want to make this squeezer very uncomfortable. And like all of these splats and like this stamper, like all this is very, very fresh. So we have plenty of time to be able to start working this ramp here and start pushing. The one thing you have to be a little bit careful about when you do move forward is that you don't want, because like squeezer, instead of squeezer can't, they're in like kind of an awkward spot here. If they sit like right here and throw a wall down, then they can kind of watch you as you go up the bridge or the ramp toward the second layer where you really want to be. But I at least want to start pressuring them. If they do, and this is where as we start moving forward, we want to get information on like their exact location. Hey, what's up, Incognito? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. But this is definitely an opportunity where we want to take the fight in front of this first checkpoint. Because whether we get splatted or not, if we just can stall a little bit on this ramp, or even like down here, and just get a bunch of paint this way, then we should be able to get first checkpoint pretty easily. No, I think we're getting to your review next, Incognito. So you're almost right on time. I mean, you getting here is always right on time. Also, I did not have this thing popped out. Apologies. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing. Again, if we can take this ramp, which a lot of times, if it's a 4v1, usually this last person probably isn't bold enough to just sit here. Because even if they get the pick on you, if you have like one other person that's pushing up this ramp with you, even if you trade and someone else cleans up the squeezer, that's still really good for the momentum of your team overall. So I think we're a little bit slow. I think we just have to trust that we take space. And, you know, if we can go up the ramp, that's great. If not, then I want us to get underneath this ledge and start hitting, you know, get sloshes and, or not sloshes, but like the roller flakes, get them over that ledge. That way we can defend so that the squeezer is unable to have any impact for this, this first checkpoint. They could potentially get, with squeezer, they may potentially get a Trizuka. I think y'all end up splatting them fast enough to where we don't, that timing window shouldn't really make sense. As long as we put our body in front of the squeezer, I think we should have first checkpoint for free. But that is one thing you have to keep in mind with all of this. So yeah, I don't love that we're as slow as we are. Like, I understand you have your special and you want to enable the rest of your team, but we can start moving forward. Like, you can just throw your special like on this ramp as you're moving forward. We don't have to necessarily like mask our positioning with squeezer. We just have to cut off that angle. You know, we want to keep the squeezer scared so our teammate can just run up here and get that first check. Yo, what's up, Junketsu? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. You were mentioning Overwatch before. What I don't remember if you told me which character you played. I think you talked about hitting like a GM or something, but which also congrats again. That's way farther than I've ever gotten playing Overwatch. I really enjoy Overwatch, but I haven't played it in a while. Play tank, let's go. How do you feel about the tank changes in Overwatch 2? Oh shoot. I felt like it was a lot of pressure. I played a couple of games of Overwatch 2 and I felt like a lot of pressure. But the tanks are quite strong from what I've seen. Yeah, and like we're just playing very scared and we're leaving a potential chance for when this person jumps up to get splatted. And if they stop Rainmaker, like your entire early push is like not ideal. You know, like you didn't get as much value as you probably should have. So yeah, again, move up into this type of position, move up into this type of position, or if you could just push this and get on this ramp before they are able to get the splash ball down. If you beat them to the ramp, then they probably can't do much. Zenyatta makes my life hell. That's fair. Zenyatta's so much fun, but I would probably feed my face off currently in like the current game. Because the other thing about this cooler is that like the pacing of the game is like our momentum. We want to be way farther forward. This is something that's hard to gauge until you like just continue playing and continue getting a feel for, you know, what a 4v1 means versus a, you know, a 3v1 or a 3v2. Like the different amount of momentum of the space that a team should be able to take when they have certain advantages is something that you get a feel for as you continue to improve. But with the 4v1, you have a lot more momentum to be able to move forward than you might initially think. And I understand we're a little bit scared to potentially be splatted, but if we're going to be, you know, the aggressive dynamo roller, that's kind of our role in this comp, which so far you've done an excellent job of, but there's definitely a missed opportunity. But we do get the check, and then this this is a little bit unfortunate, but all in all it turns out okay by the end of it all, and we'll let it keep running. This map for me on Rainmaker is a pain. Can't open space easily. Yeah, it's tough. But that's the thing, when you have like those massive advantages, when you have a 3v1 or a 4v1, or, you know, especially if you wipe, you have to move forward. Because when you get into these stallmatey types of positions, exactly like you're saying, Junketsu, it can be tough to find that opening to be able to push. So when you have that opening, it's better to play risky, because if there is a chance for you to make it, and in this case I think that we had a very good chance of being able to push through, then we're chilling. That's unfortunate we didn't get the dapples. I like the initial first pick that we had. Just unfortunate that sometimes if we're putting ourselves in vulnerable positions as Dynamo, we probably want to do it when the rest of the team has a special. Because sometimes it's going to be tough for the rest of the team to like push with you. If that makes sense. The brush can catch up. And like if you're able to stay alive long enough, then like Charger can get some value. But if we're going for that kind of flank, the rest of our comp with like Charger is very slow and situational in getting picks. Neosplash in a lot of cases is going to be kind of slow. And, you know, depending on what the brush is trying to do, it might work out. But when we have those nice angles for flanks, I'd probably rather us position ourselves a little bit safer just to stall out that whole situation a little bit longer. Fortunately, we got to pick on the Reef Slider, and then a little bit unfortunate that this Neosplash comes in and swoops on in. Because yeah, now they can start pushing this this area. Things are happening. Yeah, and this is an area that we can defend from decently well, but we have to be careful about Stamper because they can also ledge camp. Yeah, I think we're a little, I don't know, this play isn't too bad, but this is like a little bit scary. Like I think for the most part, this whole scenario, after you go down on snipe and you respawn up here and you're trying to defend the Rainmaker, I think you played about as best you can. In terms of angles that you can take as a Dynamo, I don't know what the range looks like. If you path up this way and get your horizontal flick, I don't know if you can still hit the same, like underneath this ledge that you're trying to do currently. That's something I have to actually go and like check and see the range specifically. But like you hovering around this area and like moving around this area, it's not bad, but it's definitely very vulnerable, especially when you're a very slow moving weapon. But you do kind of have to get you have to get yourself in there and do something. But again, our team isn't set up. One of our teammates is down. We don't really have like specials and stuff to play off of. So we have to pick our engagements very selectively until we have like those more aggressive opportunities for us to be able to move in confidently with our teammates. So I like us protecting this, but especially once your brush gets pushed back here, you have to think about from the Rainmaker's perspective, you know, like they might move forward and we want to be able to get a horizontal flick to be able to deal with it. But if they're going to take another shot, you know, like realistically, they're probably going to shoot it at you since you're like the farthest one forward. So we have to make sure that we're keeping that in mind, and we visually are like looking at where that Rainmaker shot's going before we commit to moving in any given direction. And that's why we end up getting spotted in this spot. But you know, you were able to take up enough space. Like even if like you ended up getting spotted without getting a pick, but you holding this type of area, like, you know, it pushes this person back. Like they're up here and they move backwards, and the rest of their team is kind of crowding over here. So because you're Brush had Whale and was ready to move forward, just getting spotted here isn't necessarily as bad as it may look on the surface. But I don't know how much of that was planned ahead of time versus it just kind of worked out that way. And we want to make sure that we keep that in mind when we find ourselves in these very tough defensive positions. Because the defense here is really tough, and like stopping them at 31, given the fact that they completely had control of this second layer of the map from like your end, is a testament to some good defense. Okay, I was gonna say, hopefully we see that person. We might have been able to actually get the roller out after the second flick, but we do get the clear. Our team should be able to move forward. Oh no. Nice. Okay, now we should finally be able to maybe not take mid. Yo, what's up, sons? Hello, hello, hello. So the one thing I'll say about this whole scenario, after we go back in again, when we're pushing in this kind of, like, we end up dropping just straight through, this is very, very risky. The risk is slightly mitigated because this pop's going on and most people's attention are focused this way. But the enemy team could very well be, you know, Squeezer, this Stamper here. Like, a lot of them could quickly turn their attention on you, and you don't have a lot of space to maneuver. It's tough because it's really slow. Like, in order for you to like want to get paint over here so that you can take like a full off angle and everything, that's going to be pretty, it's going to be very time consuming, and we don't want this thing to pop and then an enemy team pushing through. So I do like that we react pretty fast, but I don't know if I don't know if holding forward, like actually just holding forward, is the best play in this scenario. Like, if we look at the paint that we actually have in this kind of scenario, like, we can take a wider angle here, and you know, there's more ways for us to make it more uncomfortable for this person and then anyone under this ledge to have to deal with us in this scenario. So I don't love that we just actually hold forward here, but I'm okay with the speed at which we play. But again, we get the initial pick, which is good, and then things kind of happen and Stamper is able to get a special out, which is kind of goofy, but you know. We're able to almost hold them off. Nice shots. Yeah, the enemy team, it's gonna be a little bit tough to be able to deal with them, but I respect you just pushing in the mid and just looking for like these types of aggressive plays. Like, you're being aggressive, and then once you find yourself in that kind of engagement, you're using cover and like taking it slow. So like the overall thought process behind how you're playing is very nice. It's important to take space as fast as you can and then slow down that situation as much as possible. Yeah, now we have the enemy team in a very uncomfortable spot. I don't love us fully focusing our attention on the Stamper here, but I love the idea. And truthfully, I'm not sure the best, like, I think you played it extremely well. Like, I think this whole thing is like played well. In this kind of spot, how we decide to play it at the end is kind of interesting. I'm not really sure how I would situate myself, but realistically, I'd probably like stay on this area and just kind of throw stuff at them. Like, we have two teammates that, if this person starts moving toward the Rainmaker, our teammates should be able to help protect. But I don't like the fact that we're like fully dropping into mid and then like solely focusing on this person. Because if we hold this type of space and we put a couple of shots on this person, realistically, we probably can help with chip and get splats. And then the other thing after that is like we need to get past 31, which isn't super massive, but in order for us to get past 31 and take lead, I need to get under ledge. And as I was talking about before, like we just got 2 picks, so we can't take the space currently because the way that Rainmaker is, like if the Rainmaker goes down here, then you're not gonna do too much good up here by yourself. So I like that we're helping with the play in mid, but I don't want us to compromise our position too much because I do want our end goal to be to push up here, hold this area, get underneath this kind of ledge, and really be able to make it awkward for the enemy team to drop down. Because in order to get lead, I don't know the exact number, but like it's around right here, maybe a little bit farther, but like at the very base of this ramp. So if our end goal is like to hold this kind of position and make it awkward and make them uncomfortable to drop or to push down this ramp, then there's a good chance that we can get really close to the lead or just take the lead overall. And again, with our specials, with Tri-Strikes, like there's a good opportunity for us to continue the push with Rainmaker. So even if someone does get splatted, so like let's say we don't take lead, but Rainmaker ends up pushing up to like here and it goes down, like we probably can pop with our with like a Tri-Strike, for example. But in this exact situation, like I like us being here, but I would rather us like sit here and just kind of zone off this area with some horizontal flicks. Also, I'm doing pretty well, son. Hope you are doing well as well. We had a little bit of a busy morning, busy day, running some errands, getting some work done, but it's nice to be able to chill a little bit and kind of go through all of this. And hopefully we are able to get a scrim going. I think in about an hour. So that should be fun. And yeah. Yeah, like I don't like us committing as much as we're doing here. Couldn't sleep, might as well hang out. Oh no. Wait, is it like really early for you? Is the time zone like not ideal? Opening space is more important than spotting people? Yeah, definitely. And it's important to make sure that these people aren't able to push the Rainmaker, but we don't need to like get the splat. If this Stamper, for example, is just stuck over here, then like that's okay. I think it's a little bit unfortunate our teammates were unable to protect, and the Dapples is able to make a lot of kind of magic happen in this scenario. You know, I think a lot of that play is not really on us, but just overall, not compromising our position too much because our end goal does need to be to move forward. 1 a.m. Holy. Definitely make sure you get some sleep if you can, but I know the feeling. Nice. Yeah, and I love us taking this type of position. Yeah, we tunneled way too much on this this splat. I can't blame you. Again, I know the feeling, but yeah. I don't like us kind of chunking through this paint, taking damage along the way for us to get up here. Like we are a dynamo and we're very awkward with taking space and like getting these types of splats. With how much what damage our weapon does, like we can sit here and use like this little space to keep moving around in time when this person's landing with our type of with one of our flicks so that we can get the pick. But I don't like, we don't need to be this close. We can be like this close. We had knowledge of them being here, and as long as we stay close to this ledge area, we can still see their timer on when they're actually dropping. So I like the idea for the play, but I think we commit a little bit too far forward, and especially going for like a jump flick here, like we put ourselves very vulnerable after we've taken a ton of damage. Like the end goal of what you're trying to accomplish there is great, but we could be a little bit stealthier, making that work. and make it harder for the squeezer to be able to find us in that type of scenario. But I do like us moving forward overall in that spot and look for an opening. Like, we're trying to find an opening, and that's, like, you know, important currently. Yeah. As the tough thing about those fights, especially on the side, is that they're able to get a lot of jump ins. Like, their team, especially the Stamper and Dapples, which Dapples is probably going to feed a lot, they're able to jump in quite a bit, and they can be very aggressive. So the enemy team's very much looking to play very fast. So I do like us kind of forcing opportunities here. It's unfortunate we're not able to get the picks that we're trying to go for. What? Oh, we almost had that clean with the previous swipe. Nice try, nice try. Always sleeping when kids get announced, so wake up to 5 DMs. Oh no. Yeah, I don't necessarily need to see the kits the second that they're released, but I've been up for various reasons during the release time, so it has been fun. I know like Kyo and stuff has been streaming like during, so getting the live reaction with the community is it's always a fun experience, no matter the release or the announcement. It's always one of the nice things about like a Twitch chat. But yeah, it is early for us. Ouch. So I think overall, I think we had good ideas to a certain degree. I'm not trying to blame teammates, but our comp has a tough time dealing with what the enemy team's trying to do in this kind of spot. Is tough. We have two very slow weapons, and I don't think that our charger was trying to take as aggressive spots as they could be. I don't think Neo Splash was quite as forward as they could be. But I like our overall aggression and the way that we play the game. In certain spots, we probably could slow it down a little bit. In certain spots, like we were behind enemy lines and we just needed to like just hold this position and slow it down a little bit longer. So I don't know. Really good ideas. I like the openings that you're trying to create. I think you played your role very, very well. There's small mechanical things when it comes to exactly how you played it that maybe you could have played it a little bit different, but overall, like the ideas that you're going for are you know, very wonderful. So the first thing here is part of it is taking space. And this is mainly like, I'll just say on offense. Offense being when we're pushing the Rainmaker, or if we're putting ourselves into a position to push the Rainmaker. Did I spell offense right? I don't even know. All right. But like offensively, we need to look to take space more. When it's a 4v1 at the very beginning of the match, and there's just a squeezer left, even if the squeezer's sitting here and waiting for us to move forward, we still have options for us to deal with this type of person. Like ideally, we would love to get up this ramp and push them off so that we can sit here and our teammate gets first checkpoint for free. But even in scenarios where we're unable to push the squeezer, if they're specifically looking, we have to be more confident and comfortable with, I think specifically understanding what our strong positions are on this map. And this is an exercise that it's going to depend on the specific map mode, where these things will definitely change. Strong positions. but understanding what is going to give you a lot of value as a dynamo, or whatever weapon it is that you play, will help guide like how you want to play certain scenarios. Because again, early on, when like you're here and their squeezer is moving back this way, like mechanically we have to be very confident and comfortable with taking aggressive positions here. And I felt like we were a little bit uncomfortable, and like we were waiting for our teammates to get into position to help us, but we should be able to bully in like a 1v1 kind of scenario. We don't take the fight directly, but we should be able to zone off the squeezer long enough so that they can't get good jump ins. And like your role in the beginning, so if we just get to the beginning, which again I absolutely love, like your positioning and like how you take this opening right here is wonderful. I love this. Love the patience. I love that your teammate actually like painted and helped you get into these spots. This is all good. But the second we see that last splat, this flick might have just been like, we already had that queued up in our brain. But at this point, we need to like start crashing forward. And in this kind of situation, we have to understand where it's comfortable for us to sit. And, even when it's taking a position on this ramp, like how we move up this ramp can also change the way that we're, how we're getting information so that we don't get splatted and can properly zone the squeezer in this scenario. So like, on this ramp on the right side, there's this little piece of cover that we can potentially sit behind. And against a squeezer, like unless I have these godlike fall off shots, which we can go comfortably into most every match and assume squeezer's not going to hit these. We can sit on the right side of the ledge and use this as cover. And the fact that we're just in that spot, that should be enough to keep the squeezer in a position like this to where they're out of range to be able to deal with that first checkpoint. If they try to be more aggressive and they take this kind of aggressive position and they like start shooting at you. So if this person, like, let's say that you end up moving here and you're sitting behind this little uninkable piece of cover here. If this person moves over to try to start shooting at you, then you can just drop off that ledge and you just slightly reposition yourself so that you're sitting here and you're still able to get some like horizontal flicks and presence here. And in certain cases, if they're moving forward, they probably can't even get a wall down. So you may be able to challenge that directly. That's just like goes back to like comfortable mechanics with Dynamo. But that again, like understanding the overall goal of this type of scenario, when there's only one more variable, we know where they are. We know what their goal is. They're trying to stop this Rainmaker and, hopefully get a jump in for their feeding dapples. That's their goal. And we should be thinking about that as we look and figure out what our next steps are. So that's part of it. There was probably 2 or 3 opportunities for us to take aggressive space. We put ourselves in a lot of good positions to take space, but I think once that opening was there, I think either we were a little bit uncomfortable or we just were unsure about how to go about doing that and what that looks like. I understand we want to play with our team and like try to stay alive and push up together, but they might be going for pop, or we don't know what everyone else is doing. So if we're the first, like if we're the farthest forward, we need to take that space as fast as we can and then just kind of trust that our teammates are able to push up after. In certain cases, they were unable to help you there. But I think in a case like this probably would have worked out pretty well. And then another small thing when it comes to taking strong positions as well. There was that spot later on in the match. I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but you ended up getting behind their enemy team and like y'all got 2 splats and stuff. There was 2 people here. The Dapples, I think, rolled in and kind of rolled your team. But you ended up in a situation where you were in a 1v1 with the Stamper in this kind of position. And you started like moving forward here and you ended up kind of like dropping down on them. And when it comes to strong positions, it is important throughout the entire game. And in this kind of scenario, this is why I was saying that I'd prefer you just to sit like up here and just get shots so that this Stamper can't provide value, because your team had the ability to start moving stuff forward. You know, again, Dapple stopped the play, but you know, as long as you play it solid all the time, like sometimes that might happen, but sometimes your teammates might get that pick and cause them to feed. But you know, with the situation that this is in, part of it, I want you to understand that like this Stamper is very uncomfortable, and that we want, like, the Stamper wants to get out of this pit. So if you just leave them to their own demise and just have them like start looking for opportunities and they're just like shooting at you and stuff, as long as you stay safe, like, we're okay with the status quo in this kind of scenario. We don't need to necessarily push it and start taking this fight, because then we get into a scenario where this person can back up into a corner and then they start outranging you and then you're going to cry. You know, but we want to have eyes on the Stamper, because depending on how they play it is going to change how, you know, we see the match. Because if this person jumps back either to a teammate or jumps back to their base, you know, depending on if the Dapples goes down or not, we might be able to move and take space forward. We may have to help clean up what's going on over here. You know, if they decide that they're positioning over this way and they're trying to get behind your team, then we could potentially look to like drop and use this ledge as cover and start playing a fight that we close the distance on them. So it's actually in our favor, because we can go over the ledge and the Stamper can just throw burst bombs at us and they can't really get a good angle on us. So the way that we play a lot of these fights, it's a little bit more technical, and depending on the weapon that you play and the weapon that you are playing against, you have to take those fights very differently. I think you're very comfortable with how Dynamo needs to fight, but sometimes I feel like you kind of just force the issue more than being okay with this thing playing out. As long as the Stamper is contained in this area, then you're chilling. And that's the strong position side of thing. I don't know. A lot of this game you ended up playing really well. It was just unfortunate that y'all weren't able to take full control. The only other thing, like, Tacticooler overall usage doesn't matter too much, but I would say for Tacticooler, I don't really know how this is spelled, but for the Tacticooler, just, it's okay to just throw it forward. So it's awful. Throw it forward as you take space, and that's okay. So I think part of, at least from what it looked like watching it, is like, I think part of the decision making at the beginning, instead of pushing the squeezer that was here, I think part of the reason why you slowed down a little bit is so that you could give cooler value to your team. And like, it doesn't matter too much, they'll find a way for it, but you don't have to throw it in like a safe location in this kind of spot. There's no absolutes in Splatoon. There's definitely everything's situational and the context matters, but in a spot where the overall momentum is in our team's favor and our team is generally going to be looking to move, you know, if we're using the overhead as like a linear position, like, we should be able to get comfortably a little bit in front of the Rainmaker as long as you take this space in this kind of scenario. So if you throw, like, the placing doesn't have to be perfect. The bigger thing is like you taking this space and finding a strong position to zone off the squeezer. But like, if you get cooler down anywhere on this ramp, if you get it anywhere in this area, even if you get it up here, it's totally fine. Like, your teammates will eventually be able to get to it. They don't need the cooler in order for them to push. You know, like there's going to be a time where you take the space, we get first checkpoint for free, and then as the bubble or the shield on the Rainmaker kind of forms again, there's like that little bit of downtime. Like they can move forward for a quick second and pick it up. I wouldn't worry too much about having the perfect spot for it. And I think in general, you used it a little bit more defensively than you probably would want to. But yeah, I'm not trying to like be super nitpicky in terms of like the specific location you're throwing the tactic cooler, but I feel like you're wasting a lot of time thinking about it too hard, and you end up throwing it in a position that that doesn't allow you to do this top part. You're compromising your positions and you're compromising taking space to assure that your teammates are going to get tactic cooler. And as long as it's like a decent enough spot for them, like they'll find a way, you know. Other than that, I think like you played your role very, very well. You know that you had to be aggressive. You weren't able to get the amount of resources and forward pressure that you needed. Which, you know, it's a team game. You can't throw that all on you. There were certain spots you could probably play it a tiny bit slower so that your teammates could get a whale, or you could play around a tri-strike. So you're timing your pushes forward with your teammates' specials. But, yeah, no. I think I would rate that overall performance like which my rating doesn't really mean anything in the overall general scheme of things, but I think you had a very solid like 7.5, 8 out of 10 kind of performance. And, you know, there's things that you could have done better, but overall I think you played very solid. You know, again, different pair of teammates, the situation might have gone differently. I think, you know, the spots where y'all did get a ton of space and you could have used that momentum to move forward. In those spots, you probably could have solo carried this game if you were just a little bit faster overall with your pace of play, which can be tough because Dynamo is a very slow weapon. But yeah, that's just kind of the overall scheme of things. You know, this is not a game where it's like we're blaming our teammates for not giving us the support that we need, because there's definitely plenty of things that we could have done better. But this game could have gone a different way with you know, with the decisions that were made here. I think for the most part they played like okay, but there was a little bit of a comp diff in terms of us trying to play a little bit slower and having to deal with or not the squeezer, but the dapple and the sword playing very feed forward. Hey, what's up, Rally? Hello. Welcome in, gamer. But overall, that was some solid gameplay. I didn't know what to expect with the aggro Dynamo, but I think you did Dynamo players quite proud there. So thank you for the review code. Much appreciated. Next we're going for a Dapples from Incognito. I said let's try again. I don't know if I reviewed them previously. I have to have my notes ready for these types of reviews moving forward, but maybe there was like a retry in terms of the submission. The world may never know. Oh, first code didn't work. I see. Gotcha. Thank you. I'll have a better gauge on all of this than I do. So thank you. All right, and then posted the gear. Always appreciate that. Never expect people to post their gear builds, but it does make my life a little bit easier. So thank you. And we're playing Dapples here. Let me get this updated before we go any farther. I'm not gonna disrespect the spelling of Incognito. Does this copy and paste? It does. Let's go. Alright, and then we're playing, I don't even know what Dapple dualies are. Is that the red Dapples? I guess we could have, I think it's literally on my screen right now. Yeah, red Dapples. I don't know what the blue Dapples are called. I just call them by their color. And this was open. Eeltail Rainmaker. Okay. I was saying in the previous game, but Dapples are some Rainmaker poppers. There are scenarios for our stuff to get a ton of value. Did I do that right? Sick. Oh wait, you're an S-Pulse gamer. I see. Alright. Nice. I think we said we're about like S rank currently. So let's get into it. Am back, Pog. Oh, the Nouveau, you're right. Yeah, I don't know how to spell that either. If my life was at stake, spelling the word Nouveau, it's a done deal. Alright, so we got some interesting stuff going on. I don't even remember. We have like, I think Dapple Kid is like Beacon Tactical, right? Yeah, so, sorry, we'll go back to the beginning again. But there's a couple of things when we look at the overall scope of this. Thank you. First thing is we're very good at getting pop. If we can get into position, we actually pop very, very well. Sploosh does the same thing. I don't actually know between a Sploosh and a Dapples which one actually gets the jump. But what I can say pretty confidently is that the rest of our team helps with pop a lot better than the rest of the Splooshes team. So there's a good chance for us to be able to, I would probably challenge for pop in most scenarios. I don't know if Sploosh has, no, they're just running all swim speed, so they're not even running object shred, which we're not either, but yeah. DM, yo, what's up, Fantar? Let us see. Oh, this is from the tournament? Nice. Hey, how'd that end up going? I always feel so bad because like a lot of like the European tournaments, sometimes the timings are a little bit weird for us NA, but sometimes it can be, depending on where the tournament was streamed, sometimes I have a hard time finding it all. Hopefully y'all had some good games and good experiences. And thank you. We will definitely get to those. Maybe not today, because I think we're going to probably do a scrim by the time this review's over, but we'll definitely get to them. I would love to take a look at that as some premiere stuff. Get that uploaded in some multiple different scenarios. But yes. So when it comes to the pop, we're in a pretty good spot. I like our comp quite a bit, just in general. I feel like we have a lot of flexibility and, you know, we can deal with ledges pretty well. We can move fast. We can space ourselves pretty decently. So all in all, I think we're in a pretty comfortable spot. I do want us to be taking space whenever we can. Obviously at the beginning, making sure that we're at the Rainmaker pop and working and making sure our teammates can confidently trust us to help with the pop so that we can use that advantage with our team comp. The only real struggle with this game overall, Range Blaster might be a little bit of an issue, but the biggest issue here is going to be this E-Leader, which like traditionally E-Leader and Rainmaker is like kind of troll, but there are certain maps where E-Leader gets a lot of value just in general. So I don't love E-Leader pick in Rainmaker, but it can definitely be frustrating. And if the enemy team gets a big lead early, then the leader can sit in, you know, very defensive positions and just kind of chill, or sit up here and just kind of chill, or sit back. You know, even in some of these later spots, depending on their, you wouldn't really sit back there. No, don't worry about that one. But it can be very frustrating to break through against the leader. So we don't want to get snowballed on at the beginning, because then it gives them a lot of opportunities. The other thing is that we want to make sure that we use our resources that can deal with leader, and realistically we only have like Booyah Bomb. Inkvac is another creative option when we're actually moving the Rainmaker to keep the Rainmaker safe as they move forward. So we can definitely use that as well to like soft counter what the E-Leader is trying to accomplish in order. But, you know, that's a lot more situational when we're actually pushing the Rainmaker. But, you know, with us being kind of in the front line, we want to keep an eye out for the different specials that, realistically, it's probably just these two. Look for opportunities for us to move in with these specials and either end up making it to the E-Leader or make their job really difficult. Either hitting them directly or getting picks on some of these other people that might be a little bit easier for us to access. So one other thing I was going to say. I don't remember. When it comes to the first checkpoint and second checkpoint, this first checkpoint is generally, it feels pretty nice. Sometimes against like the enemy, like if they're all sitting up here to defend this first checkpoint, then that can open up moving and using this right checkpoint as the first one. The one kicker with all of that is that leader can control both from this like shed area up here. Like they can kind of sit here and get a decent vision on like everything that's going on. So that's one thing that we'll have to keep in mind in terms of like the routing of the push. But on this map in general, if we can hold this kind of area, it'll be nice. I do think for us as Dapple, we might want to, like if we're pushing forward, if we have the space and we don't have to worry about a leader or something, then we can take the bridge ourselves. But we might have an easier time playing underneath the bridge and either flanking around here or looking over this way or going for this, like playing the right side of this map would be a little bit better. Just because if we try to take this bridge ourselves, then we're going to get contested. We know we're going to get contested by the enemy team. Any of these three weapons are going to stuff us very consistently. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention was with the beacons. You do have beacons. Rainmaker is a relatively fast mode, so it'll be interesting to see how you place beacons. I don't think the positioning matters all too much, but you know, giving a jump over here versus getting a jump in this corner over here, maybe pushing up the lines as your team's moving forward. You know, there's some creative spots that you can throw beacons, but you know, anywhere where you can time save for your team is going to be beneficial. Yo, what's up, Mana? Hello, hello, hello. I know, Mana, you were mentioning before, like some of the MOBA stuff that you were playing. I forgot the name of that game. Or no, you said you were playing Pokemon Unite. But how is that kind of process going and everything? Is that are you like new? I know that you played like a bunch of League before, so you're confident, I'm sure, in the MOBA space, but I think last time that we talked, you had mentioned that you were on a team. So is that something that you've like hit the ground running? You're just kind of practicing and playing just on a regular basis, or are y'all still in like the early phases? I'm interested to see how your experience is going so far, just, you know, based off of whatever you're willing to share or otherwise. I hope all that's going well. I forgot which Pokemon Unite characters you said you would play, but I do enjoy that game. I haven't played it in a hot minute though. All right, we give a pop. Maybe I'm wrong. Looking at comps, like we have the better pop comp, right? Like I feel like, yeah, like we're even running Object Shred, but even if we didn't have the Object Shred advantage, like our comp should probably get pop on average better than theirs, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think, like, I'd rather us just go, and I've said this in a couple of reviews for Rainmaker specifically, but I would like for us to identify if we have the Rainmaker pop advantage. And just if we do have an advantage, which I do think we have a pretty clear advantage, I think we can at least match the sploosh in terms of like popping damage. But I think with Object Shred, we should do more than that. But we have a bunch of bombs as well to work with. And if we start moving forward and commit to getting the pop, then our teammates will end up probably committing as well. In a lot of cases, it really just depends on, like, you know, if I see my dapples going this way, yeah, I'm going to give up the pop, versus if I see them going this way, it might change how I end up playing. But, you know, getting people to commit on the Rainmaker pop, sometimes you kind of have to just see what's going on in the moment. But I would rather us, like, contest it. They have a lot of swim speed. Maybe they get there faster. They do get there, like, they will get there a little bit faster, especially with Curling Bomb. But I think overall we should still have quite an advantage. Like, these two weapons are very, very slow, and the 52 doesn't have a bomb to work with on this. So I don't know. We'd have to double check. Maybe that the extra speed, maybe that is significant enough, and maybe I'm underplaying that. But from my perspective, I would 100% commit onto this until I've been proven otherwise. Yo, what's up, Celeste? Welcome in, welcome in. Right now we're figuring out as a team how we can play. Still finding a play style. Gotcha, gotcha. And we have to build comp-wise. It's definitely a fun part of the process. But definitely good luck, good luck. Are you planning on streaming any of it, or you know, if you play in any tournaments that are getting streamed, make sure you let us know on the twitter.com. I would be excited to watch you all compete in whatever kind of scenario. How am I? I'm doing pretty well. I think we're doing a scrim in about 30 minutes, so I have a little bit of a timer when it comes to getting this review done, but should give us plenty of time. And yeah, I'm just happy that we have some I get to chill and play some Splatoon, or watch Splatoon and play Splatoon and review Splatoon. And yeah, I got Chipotle a little bit earlier today, so having already made dinner is always quite pog. I am vibing. Speaking of 52, I realized the first death is in Bears. Oh no. But yeah, if we give up pick and if we give up the initial pop and no one gets picked for it, it's kind of whatever. But we do need to be a little bit careful with how we position ourselves. Oof, that's tough. That's a little bit tough. I don't want to get super into like mechanics and stuff unless I see it as like a glaring issue and it's too early to tell. The one thing I would say is, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in this scenario, but focusing your strafing toward the 52 and not toward the Rainmaker is probably the better approach. So if we're trying to play around the 52, we'd want to strafe perpendicular to them, not perpendicular to the Rainmaker. Because we strafed like we're gonna go for this Rainmaker pick, but we end up just moving straight at the 52, which allows them for this easy kind of splat. If we did want to get this splat on the Rainmaker, I probably would dash at them just because they have a very slow like charge time and everything. But yeah, a little unfortunate though. I'm with you. Eventually, right now, probably not. I see. Well, definitely good luck. The early phases can be a whole lot of work, but once you're ready to, you know, once y'all are comfortable with how you're playing the game and everything, and you get to start, you know, playing against other teams and building and stuff, it's always a lot of fun. And just in general, like just queuing up as, I'm pretty sure you can 5-stack in that game, but just, you know, being able to queue up the game as 5 and just compete with other people is just a really, really fun experience. We play through meta, blind picked some comfort champs that aren't meta, but that can fit the team. Making good progress. Pog. Usually shot call early game, support shot call mid late game. Nice. Well, again, definitely best of luck, and hopefully you're able to enjoy yourself And yeah, anytime there's a scrim or a tournament or anything, I would love to tune in. Speaking of tuning in, let's get back to the match. Yeah, that pick a little unfort. I was gonna say we should be able to jump to our stuff. One. Love. We're gonna let you cook a little bit. The roll speed with the tactical is so strong. Alright. There has to be an end to play at some point. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's an unfortunate end to play. Alright, there's a lot of stuff that happened there. A lot of stuff. So we're gonna go, I think I went way too far back. So yeah, unfortunate. There's a lot that I really love of what we're doing here, but there's a lot of it that I think we could probably refine. So there's a couple things here. The first thing, as we start moving forward, I mentioned toward the top that like leader is going to be a bit of a problem in this matchup. So if we see them in a type of area where they're like, you know, because a lot of times leader is going to be a problem because they're like sitting all the way back here. Or like they can always position themselves in relevant spots and just be out of the way completely unless your team uses a Booyah Bomb effectively. So if you find them in a position where they're more vulnerable with their positioning, I want you to focus if you can. You know, you can't run straight at them or otherwise you'll get splatted, but you know, you see them watching the Rainmaker over here, which I don't think is the right play from them, but you know, you use as an opportunity to move forward. I would love for you to just climb up here and just challenge this leader. If we take the leader out here, it provides a lot of relief for the rest of your team. And so that's like the first thing when it comes to all of this. Like I want to splat this leader so the rest of our team can start moving forward. Because once leader's out of the equation, your Jett can kind of just start taking high ground and start taking open spaces pretty cleanly. The other thing about this very specific situation is that if we get a pick on this leader, depending on, you know, where we spot the rest of the team, we may be able to cross this bridge for free and make the enemy team very, very uncomfortable. You know, we can sit around this type of area. We can look to flank around this way. We can push the people over here. There's a lot of different choices that we can have based off of the information that we get. But getting the pick on the leader here is so high value in this kind of scenario. And I would like us to have a little bit more focus on it. That being said, you don't go for the leader, but I love the patience that you display in this type of scenario. You know, I do think that the better target is taking bridge because it accomplishes a lot of things for your team at once. But I love us moving into position, waiting for this person, understanding that they're, you know, not watching, their shield's already out. So you don't have to worry about that. Like this is a very measured and careful approach. This is wonderful. I do love this. So, you know, with the decision that we made, I think we played this part very, very well. Now we're looking to get behind them. That's so unfortunate. We don't get the pick here. The speed at which you climb up the wall and start rolling on this bridge is just like, it's super clean. I love the pace of play after you get that initial pick. Again, this person is begging to get splatted in this spot, and we really need to make it happen. If we want to ignore it altogether, so there are two trains of thought in this kind of spot. Like one of the things is Blaster still exist and we want to deal with them. And with the positioning that the leader has currently, we don't see them as too much of a threat, which I think is a little bit valid. But our positioning and what we decide to do after we get those picks is like we end up deciding to run backwards toward the objective and toward our team. And regardless of if you want to go onto the blaster or you want to go onto the leader, I think you have decent chances on both. I would probably go for the leader just because that one's like super guaranteed because they're not watching you and they're like stuck in place and they're sitting next to a wall. So in this spot, again, I would just get this pick and then start looking at the blaster that ended up dropping in the mid and figure out where they went. Realistically, they probably should push back, but as we can see here, is like they start moving forward. We can see them in the ink here, and they start looking to be more aggressive. So, you know, we are marked, so we could just drop on them, but we may want to be a little bit more cautious depending on how we feel about the overall scenario. But I'm not sure why we're just rolling here. Maybe we were really focused on the objective and we missed that the leader was there, but we put ourselves in a lot of danger and we lose a lot of the value that we had before. Like us sitting up here, the positioning is very, very, very nice. So I would be fine also if you wanted to just sit here. You know, you could maybe get a beacon down. The beacon doesn't matter too much because we don't really want our team to be jumping to the beacons necessarily. Maybe like a VDS or maybe a machine could jump into it, but you know, we do need to focus on mid control. But I would just love for us to leverage this bridge and just get a bunch of paint. If we're not going to jump on specific targets, which I would have liked for us to jump on this person, try to get information of where the blaster went after they dropped, and then, you know, help fight for mid that way. But we end up trying to like focus on getting back to the objective because, oh, the Rainmaker's over here and that can feel a little bit scary. But if you look at the context of the whole map, like there's a clear divide of paint that separates the Rainmaker from everything else. So, you know, this looks like it feels like a very panicked play that is going to, we lose all of our value, all of the strong positioning that we earned with, you know, getting the pick on this 52, moving forward, trying to explode onto the blaster. Like all of this is superb. But once we've done the hard part, you know, now we need to cash in the value of all the space that we took and the spots that we got. And we end up just throwing all that away to feel like we have a better position being closer to the Rainmaker, which in these types of spots, if you know where the last two people are at, which we've seen both of them, we don't need to go back in this kind of spot. It felt like we just feel more comfortable when it comes to our positioning to, I don't know, be closer to our team. But if we're in good spots up here, as long as we focus on staying alive and we have a lot of mobility and there's a lot of ledges that we can drop behind or just drop down completely, we should be comfortable just being a nuisance so that these people that are sitting in mid have to make a choice to either turn around and look at you or move forward and have to accept the fact that you could drop on them at any point. And we want to make the enemy team feel uncomfortable in those types of situations versus like, you know, dropping on the position and not having this lingering threat behind the enemy. Because that's very, very valuable. Again, I like that we try to close off the space in the way that we play all of this. So that's good. Still the last person left. Which they do unfortunately get the stop on the Rainmaker, but like this is still a good position for you all. And this is where when I go back to all of this, I actually I like your decision a little bit better here. But when the Rainmaker needs to be popped in the spot, there's two things that you can do. Either you can focus on getting the pop to confirm it, or you can start taking space forward. because of the positioning of where the Rainmaker is and like the enemy team's coming off a spawn still, I think that your decision to take space is really, really good. I like the space taking, because your teammates, like if someone on the enemy team is trying to get this pop, they have to be like sitting over this ledge, or like they have to be sitting in a very open spot, which your team should be able to deal with. So yeah, I like this decision, but you could do either one. If the Rainmaker was in a different spot, it might be better for you to just help with the pop, but you know, we have our paint forward from some of the previous flanks that we did, and I like that we're taking that space. Like, all this is very good. This feels like a little bit of frustration with our teammates, which understandable. I'll just get this Rainmaker myself. But I don't know. In these kinds of scenarios, like, we do see the blaster. We might have missed this drop here. It's a little bit hard to see, especially in real time. It's tough to see. So I wouldn't blame you for missing that. But in general, we know there's a blaster in this area. So from your perspective, it seemed like you had no idea where they were at. We missed that they dropped here, which, again, understandable. But instead of going for random shots and just hoping that we guess where the blaster is, we see this leader over here. I would much rather us just roll behind this dumpster and just get the free pick on the leader. I think there's a couple of spots where we could have got free picks on the leader and have given it up, either because we were like too focused in on what was in front of us and we were tunnel visioning quite a bit, or maybe we don't see the value in getting leader. But spotting leader here is a ton of value for your team. And in most cases, especially if the leader's positioning like very low ground and playing very scrappy with their positioning, we want to like punish them as much as we, as much as possible. Because like the rest of your team's gonna have a harder time getting into these types of positions, and this is like the third time that you had a very easy pick on the leader, and I would favor that basically over anything else in most of these cases. That's kind of the first thing. Like, us going for these types of shots allow something like a blaster to reposition and get a pick on us. And like, we were very fortunate that they didn't. And then at this point, we like kind of hear them, and we're still sitting out in the open. Against a better blaster, we probably get splatted. We might get a trade here. Best case, we get the trade with the leader, but I don't like us ignoring the blaster. Like, when we commit to this route of like initially poking at a potential blaster location, I don't like us just immediately going for the leader afterwards. It ends up compromising our position, and it compromises our ability to stay alive. But we do get the pick, which is nice. Again, in this type of spot, I would just let your teammates get the pick. We know the blaster's still in that spot, and most of their team's respawning in again. I would focus on that blaster specifically. We don't have to immediately start running at them, but while they're throwing this kind of bomb, like, we can hide behind the dumpster over here and just get some information. If the blaster is focused on the Rainmaker, then we can get a free pick out of it. But I don't like us. Like, we don't need the help with this pop. We're already established in a good position, and we want to try to leverage that as best as we can. But again, I can feel a sense of like, all right, I'm just gonna score this Rainmaker myself. I've been there. It's a very much an emotional response for this play, and I empathize, because I've definitely gotten into these types of positions. But I think it's better for you to hold the position that you have and just make it so that blaster can't get into a position to stop the Rainmaker. And I think the positioning and the space that you had all the way over by this dumpster was very, very, very strong. And just turning around and giving that space up, I don't love on average. Yeah, I love the speed here. This is beautiful. The continuation here is lovely. Okay, okay, we're moving. Love it. So one other thing, and this kind of goes back to trusting teammates a little bit, which I think we're having some trust issues. I love the pick on the blaster. I love identifying where the charger is going to be and getting that pick. In this kind of position, again, it goes back to the scenario of we have a 4v2. We have someone that's on the Rainmaker, and then we have two teammates that are close to the Rainmaker. In this kind of spot, we should be able to trust that our teammates, like our 3 teammates, should be able to stop this Rainmaker in this kind of scenario. Again, we are in like such a good position. You being up here earlier on in the game when you were sitting on their bridge, that makes the enemy team so uncomfortable. Even if you just sit up there and just start getting paint. Obviously there's more stuff that you can do, but even just doing that like sets up the rest of your team for a lot of success. Because these people that are respawning in, like they can't just like swim in and start taking mid, and they can't like get into positions that they want to. They have to deal with you, which means them dealing with you is that anywhere where the Rainmaker's at, they can't get in contact with the Rainmaker because you're in front of them. You're positioned exactly where you need to be, but you don't want to give it up. This is another time where it's like, oh, I'm in like literally the perfect position for us to KO. I'm just going to give that up. Like the pick on the leader and the blaster, you being up here, and as long as you position yourself not to get sniped, like the leader has to sit like up here, somewhere in this area, or like maybe up here. That's so many points for your team to be able to like push Rainmaker and everything. And you just have to trust that your teammates are doing this, and you have to be doing frontline things. You can't do everything at all points of the game, and there has to be a certain level of trust. And like even in the most absolute catastrophic worst case, what are my teammates thinking kind of scenario that should maybe happen in like an astronomically low amount of your games, the worst case scenario is that this person somehow picks up Rainmaker and no one deals with them and they get checkpoint. It's like once they cross through mid and like your teammates aren't reacting or like they got splat. Again, these catastrophic, the voices that tell us the worst case scenario that causes us to drop in these spots, even if that does happen, we can jump back if we need to and defend after this checkpoint, and we can help with the pop, and we even still have the lead because we've already gotten the first checkpoint. But that's like the worst case. You shouldn't ever think about this, but even if it was to happen, you'll still have a lead. It's okay. It's okay. So yeah, hold this position, find the other person. This other person is probably also concerned about the Rainmaker. So, you know, you can hold this position and look to get paint around. And if the blaster or charger or the leader, when they come in, if they just drop and start swimming forward, you can get free picks. That's one way to look at it. You can look to get a stop on the 52. I think there's a lot of value in that, but I don't like us tunneling onto the objective. This game gives me trust issues. It's fair. It's fair. PvP online experience. You learn a lot about yourself and your tendencies and your level of trust with your teammates. So it's unironically a thing that it is. But you can't let that take control and limit the good decisions that you make. Because when you don't let that happen, you get 2 picks and you've won the game for your team. Like the play that you just made, like won the game for your team if you're able to leverage it after you get the, you know, those 2 picks. The true Rainmaker experience in solo queue. I'm getting PTSD of a specific game. Oh no. I feel like everyone has those Rainmaker moments of just the catastrophes, but you can't let that ruin your overall, you know, decision making. Because like when I played card games, I've lost games. I've also won games, but of course you always look back, you know, we're risk adverse and we're loss averse. So we don't look at the times where we get lucky, but we always look at the times where bad luck has been thrown on us. But I've lost games where, because a lot of times in card games, you can actually calculate like the percentage of certain things happening. And like, there's been plenty of times where I've lost a game based off of a like less than 1% chance of something happening. And obviously it's very frustrating in the moment of like, oh man, I played this game so well, and then they just like toss up a Hail Mary and then they actually get it and then they win. And it's like, this game is unfair, and just, getting really upset about all of that. But you can't have that negatively impact your decision making. Because the next time I'm in a spot where I can set up for a chance where, as long as they don't get a less than 1% chance of something happening in their favor, then I win the game. Like, I want to take those odds all the time. That doesn't mean that every time it's going to pan out in my favor, like that 1% does mean 1%, even though our brains process a less than 1% chance as it never happening. It still is going to happen. That's how probability works over a large sample size of games. I was like, this is completely off topic, but that's kind of like with like XCOM and stuff. Apparently, like their systems in place, which that's a single player game, I think, for the most part, or just completely. But like the developers of XCOM, like I think they got like a lot of feedback to where it feels really bad if you have like a 2% chance of missing a shot. You basically assume that it's just never gonna miss. And like, I don't know how they actually do the percentages. I'm sure it's in a video somewhere, but like those really low percentage chances, I think they've like virtually like eliminated them, or like they make it so it's like super, super rare, like a way lower percentage than what they actually like show in the calculation when you're playing the game, so that you don't elicit those reactions, even though the game is fair in that case. The way that we process things as humans is always a little bit different. So anyways, it's really interesting stuff. Probability is a very fun thing, and these trust issues and stuff that we have, definitely playing card games can help potentially make that worse, but at least throw us in a lot of scenarios where very unlikely things happen and we lose from them. But identifying what is the high percentage play to win the game versus the lower percentage is something we want to make sure we keep in mind. And don't let those bad experiences, because like you said, and like Sons was saying, like everyone's had these experiences where the most unlikely thing happens and like it costs us a game, but you can't have that affect your decision making moving forward. You have to understand this shouldn't have happened. Unfortunately, it did. If this happens, if I'm put to that same decision in the future, I'm still making the same decision I did because it's just way better. We can't fully influence and dictate the game. And us like going back in these types of scenarios to deal with Rainmaker and stuff is gonna cause us a lot of suffering. But again, your movement here is super clean. We love to see the mechanics. Don't have photographic memory, but a certain game on Salt Spray Rig. Wait, that's Splatoon 1. This has been many years in the making. Mentally scarred you from Rainmaker? Oh no. Like, it's funny because it's so relatable. But there is an interesting thought. It's not a thought experiment, but there is an interesting decision making that we throw Kappa behind those types of statements, but there is a chance that those memories could actually negatively impact the way we play Splatoon now, and we have to make sure that we're kind of separating the two. Well, that's funny. I have a couple of Piranha Pit games from Splatoon 2. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened when I played Splatoon 1. I played that when it first came out. I didn't pay attention to anything. I grinded to like S rank and then I was done. I said I beat Splatoon 1. Now on to whatever the latest Call of Duty was, or whatever, real shooter that existed at the time. These plays are good though. The outcome isn't ideal, but I love this. The only thing in this scenario, why are we the one jumping out first? What are we scared of? There's a little bit, so like if we're coming in, and I mean we actually have the technology, but why are we making the first move when we're sharking in an advantageous spot? when our team has lead and this person wants us to, you know, play the game. Okay. So our movement was shown here. So maybe we would want to potentially move. We could not move and still, like, we could be here versus being here versus being here. And this person still has to guess, but they might, if they're paying attention, which they're clearly not, you know, they might know that you're there. But I wouldn't be the one to jump out first. Like, we don't need to do this. If you were watching the review previously when we were going over Hammerhead with the dynamo and stuff, it's like in this interaction between you two, if we sit in the status quo for long enough, this is in our favor. If we sit in this patch over here and this person's just sitting over here, this is good for us. We don't have to purposefully aggravate this interaction in order for something to happen. We don't need to see a conclusion to this. We can kind of just chill, and that's totally fine. Obviously, we want to make sure that they're not like swimming around here and then they're like all the way up here and then you're still sitting here kind of thing. Like, you know, we have to keep track of this situation, which we should be able to see all of that with our current positioning, but it's okay for this person to sit here. There's no problems. I don't like us like using our roles to, again, because we're like trying to predict where they're going and we don't need to do that. Like, we make these fights very difficult for us. And sometimes people will come through, they'll have this kind of interaction and they'll be like, oh, my aim was bad. You know, oh, if my aim was a little bit better, I would have won that. And that's not what, you know, I'm not saying that this is what you're taking away from it, but this is something that we don't want to take away from this kind of situation. The situation was just, regardless of this outcome of if you got splatted or this person, the 52 got splatted, that doesn't matter. The decision for you to sit here, while this person, you saw them moving in and they're sitting here, the fact that you jumped out, regardless of what happens, is the wrong decision. And, you know, having good aim to salvage the bad decision, or having bad, you know, bad to normal aim and it not going in your favor, like, you know, make sure that we're focusing in this type of scenario on the actual mistake there. This isn't a mechanical diff, this is a decision-making diff. And again, I don't think that this, they should have known that you're there. The 52 should have known that you're there. I don't think that they were playing that to counter you. But even if they did, even if they do know that you're there, that should still be an advantage for you. Because they're the ones that have to move in that spot. So they have to drop off that ledge, or they have to start moving to the right and start shooting at you, and then you can move back if you need to. But they have to be the one to shake the box and cause something to happen from that. When your team has an advantage in this kind of scenario, when you are in the enemy team's base and they're stuck in their base, this is good scenarios for you. And you have to be comfortable. As you become a more disciplined player, and part of, you know, sweating and being really good at the game and continually improving, there is a layer of discipline into the way that you actually play the game. And we have to be disciplined enough to just sit in that type of scenario and be okay with it. Because your Dapple play is great so far. This is creative. I probably would have played this slower. Honestly, I probably played that a little bit slower because we knew that they were coming in, but overall solid. My team is telling me that I need to be ready for a scrim, which I will be ready. Oh, real quick, I didn't see what happened there. If we have 5, y'all can play like the first game without me, but there's just these scenarios where we're always the first one to dash out of spots, which this is a little bit more uncomfortable. Oh, Saf's not here? I gotcha. I'll make sure I'm there. Like, in these kinds of scenarios, it is a little bit scary because they're close to taking the lead and we feel like we need to do something. But again, this is a scenario where we just slow it down even half a second. This person's going to want to start using their hammer and everything. And we can punish them afterwards. Sometimes we're getting bailed out because our mechanics are just that good, but you know. That's a little tough. They end up shooting you through the Booyah Bomb. But they're gonna, I do like us taking this aggressive space. I do like the patience. This is great. You know, I think in this kind of scenario, we could totally just like commit forward. Like we have this little ink here. We could swim into this ink and then start rolling afterwards. I think we roll a little bit too early here, but it's okay. But you know, again, like you're able to stall even though you don't get the pick, you're able to stall the leader in a disadvantageous position and it allows the rest of your team to move forward. Nice. Why are we backing up here? It's a 4v1. Why are we backing up here? What's going on? What are we doing? We could be up here. Might have even had enough time to make it all the way up here. We could be sharking here. We could have had a beacon, you know, back on this dumpster. Why are we going back to mid? What are we scared about? Are we scared about this sploosh? Do we not think our 3 teammates can't handle the sploosh? Wait a minute. Alright. They save me from looking like a fool. Nice. Nice. Your mechanics are so nice. I probably would have dropped it right side. So when we already have a lead of 9 and it's late in the game. So if we have a lead and there's a decent amount of time in the game, we just want to stall. We just want to slow the game down. And it's a lot easier to play more controlled if we have Rainmaker in this kind of position versus trying to take it through this. Basically, it's a death pit, for lack of a better term. People call it glass, people call it slick. It's a death pit. Unless we're trying to score points, we don't want to move it that way. We can slow it down and just like, we can sit in this area and just shoot Rainmaker shots up here, shoot shots here. You know, move behind this cover if like a leader is looking at us. But we don't want to give them the free pick in this spot. There's a chance that they can actually turn this whole scenario around because now they have momentum and they can get Rainmaker back. Movement, very good. Nice. That was certainly a play. Yeah, this is super clean. We're letting you cook. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I can tell our thumb is hovering the little button that takes pictures, or if you hold it down it clips. You were so ready to just have this whole clip ready, and then we got to the, oh no, poor Don Hector. We were holding that down and we couldn't finish on the shot. We've all been there. We have the perfect clip, the final part of it, the quad. Then we just missed the easy shot. It happens. And again, as people, we're gonna go back to that scenario and think to ourselves, we're not gonna think about, oh my god, like that triple was incredible, like perfect timing. We took space so quickly in these scenarios. We're not gonna think back from that perspective. We're gonna think back from the lens of, oh my god, I just choked. Even though I won the game for our team, I just choked. And a lot of that comes back to the mentality of everything. But I love, there's nothing more entertaining. I quit replay. We can do it from here. There's nothing more entertaining than seeing people in scenarios and like I can physically picture the person holding the controller and playing the game and like know what's going on in their head in those spots. But overall this was beautiful. I don't feel like going back in, and I got to jump to a scrim, so we're gonna keep it a little bit short here. Your Dapple play is phenomenal, is really good stuff, really good stuff. Is there a better color? It's a little bit better. All right. So number one in this spot, we need to take. It's taking space. This part we actually are good at. We're good at taking space. We need to hold the space. We need to look at, you know, like take advantage. How do we now, like once we're here, how do we get value? We put ourselves in game winning push positions all throughout that game, and only toward the end were we able to actually capitalize toward a 9 push, you know, and getting it to 1 at the end. But getting value out of the spot, like we take space really well. I'm not really worried about you taking space. I think you do that very well. But yeah, that's a big thing. The other thing, it is like the mentality of don't let bad experiences. This is looking bad as we get to the alter good decision making. We're effectively making graffiti at this point. So I think that it's not going to affect any of your games now, but as you continue to climb, as you continue to improve, we want to make sure that bad decisions don't cause us grief. If we're in a 4v1, take space, move forward, be ready to take advantage of the good spot that you put yourself in. Don't let the idea of, you know, the sploosh swimming past your entire team, splatting them all, picking up Rainmaker, and then scoring checkpoint. Don't let that idea ruin the rest of your decision making, basically. Because there were scenarios that you could have led to a much higher push and we just didn't get there. So yeah, just try your best to work on that. Otherwise, again, the gameplay is super good. I don't like playing with Dapples on my team, but I want your Dapples on my team. That was a heck of a performance. Because the times where you are confident, like you move very fast, you make very sound decisions, your actual rolling and aiming is all super solid. It's just like once we're there, we need to make sure that we're comfortable in how to actually win the game. How do we turn 2 picks into a push that is either a KO or very close to a KO? So again, thank you very much for the submission. Hopefully that was able to help. And if you have any additional questions, let me know. Yeah, that was super quality stuff. Anyways, speaking of quality, our team, we're gonna play some scrims. I think we're scrimming Silly Kitties. I don't know if they're playing with subs. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'm gonna get the team in the call and then we'll kind of go through everything. Last time they played weapons, that made me sad, so I'm gonna use the extra sub power up. Alright, our team's been working on some stuff. I'm actually gonna end stream a little bit early, so I'm going to probably raid. The timings are a little bit awkward, but I appreciate everyone being here. I'm gonna move you all over to Rafa. But again, thank you. I'll be streaming at some point tomorrow, probably a little bit later because we have a tournament. But thank you all. Appreciate you all. Thank you on the good lucks. I appreciate all the gameplay footage, all the conversations. Y'all are wonderful. The raids earlier on. This is all fantastic. And I will catch you all soon. If I can hit the raid now button. I'm trolling. I'm trolling. Alright, my bad, I'm trolling. Nice. I can LP in zone. One's in zone still. Simper. Oh, okay, nice. Nice shot. On right. Okay, I'm moving left. There's tent left. Careful, tent in zone. Yeah. I'm just shredding crowd. I pushed through. There's 3 pushing this. Be done. I'm getting bombs on right. Nice. Good.